Welcome one, welcome all to episode 243 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, September 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logan. Today, we debate the pros and cons of the console generation as Sony continues to raise prices across new platforms, old controllers, and Xbox itself isn't moving units. As exclusives decline, PC seems to be the obvious destination. Should you abandon your console? That, Xbox layoffs, and more. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I had a really good week. It is I feel like my microphone's kind of far away. I got to jump into Sea of Thieves most of the week. Hunter's Call is having like a fishing update, so it's like double gold and double rep on all the fishing. So just been like you know when you have like because Chick and I have been gaming together, and because we did Gears of War and we haven't really jumped into anything in particular, we've been going to Sea of Thieves. So like all week we've just kind of been jumping in and slowly grinding out commendations. So it's been really fun. And actually, my words of kindness, I want to even jump forward and just say like thanks to the Rare devs, because they've been having to deal with a lot of like stuff right now. But the fact that it would have been 2019, they put my Easter egg in the game. Chick and I actually got to find my skeleton in game like naturally as we were kind of sailing around, and she's like, "Oh my god, stop the boat, stop the boat, stop the boat." And so I'm like throwing the anchor down, we jump off, and she's like, "It's here, he's here, it's him, it's your skeleton captain." And we were just so excited to actually have that. Like, we had a chest of rage on the bowsprit, and it started like setting the boat on fire, and we're like, we don't care, we're just taking photos of us in front of like my skeleton. So to have like moments of like that in games, and to have it with someone special, and like have that like moment where you're like, hey, that's my Easter egg. It was really fun to see that. So if it wasn't for the devs like caring about their community, when even when people are coming at them for like stability and game crashes and missed things here and there, it's like they're still a good group of people over there, and I still care and love them to death for all the work that they put into Sea of Thieves. So it was like it was a really good week just based on that alone.
That's awesome, man. Those are feel good moments. I had some cool, I guess you would say, like not similar but similar moments as well. My words of kindness extend to you, actually, because last week we were talking about spooky games. You mentioned Dead by Daylight, right? You just mentioned it offhand, and Kev mentioned World War Z to us in our private chat. But we know this about me. I go down like roads, right? Like I just go down a road, I get locked in on something, and I've just been wanting to play spooky stuff, and that's rare for me. I don't do realistic horror. I like monster movies, and I like, Halloween and Freddy vs. Jason and stuff like that. But I booted up Dead by Daylight, having not played it in at least 5 years, and I never got into it. But it was the right pace for what I needed, because I've been doing 13-hour days, and that means like coming home and doing a competitive Fortnite or COD with you guys isn't really in the cards for me, because my voice is shot from coaching and teaching all day, and I just want something, I guess, slower. So I tried Dead by Daylight, and it really is I'm having a blast with it, like a genuine
fun, right?
blast. It's really fun, and they've done so many updates, because it has been out for a while, that it runs really well, and it's neat to see. Like, I love an IP merge to kind of coalesce in a good way. That's like my favorite thing, is seeing IP in a mixed place, and to be Michael Myers chasing Alan Wake, to be Leon Kennedy running from Chucky, and then see the Saw characters and be in the level where you see the bathroom from Saw. Like, it was actually it's really fun, and I'm just having a blast.
It's like the horror version of Smash Brothers. It's great.
Yeah, it is
like everything, and they just put in the Castlevania characters too, which is hilarious. So you got like Alucard chasing after like Steve from or chasing after Steve from Stranger Things, and you're just like, what is this?
It's been a blast. I did put some money into it because it's on Game Pass. So it's on Game Pass for anybody. So I didn't feel bad because I'm having such a good time. with it that I
Mm-hmm.
want to put some money into this. I want Alan Wake. I want Leon Kennedy. I want Michael Myers. Michael Myers is like, I just love him as a horror character.
Yeah.
I have him in Fortnite. I'm going to get him in the Haunting and COD for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so like
God damn them too. Well, we need to talk
yeah,
about
oh,
that.
it's on our smaller notes. Don't worry.
Son of
But I'm just having a blast with it. And I had this really cool pure horror movie moment in this game because if you're the killer, you really get this thrill of chasing down survivors and stuff. But if you're the survivors, it can be just hauntingly scary. And I had this moment where I was Alan Wake and I just repaired a generator and the light had come on and I turned and I looked through this like big cornfield that was very similar of Left 4 Dead, and way down, like all the way at the other end of the field, just standing there looking at me was Ghostface from Scream. And it did a little sound effect. It was like, and I was like, oh, because I had the headphones on. And so like just that little moment, I was just like, oh my God. And like I froze. And it was such a good time. Like I really liked it. And so as I get into things, I'm just enjoying spooky, and I'm loving Dead by Daylight in a way I didn't expect to, because I never thought I would like that game.
Yeah.
And I really did. And it's actually pushed me to, I see GoldenEye in chat saying I need to go back to Dead by Daylight when I finish the casting of Frank Stone. It had me look up the casting of Frank Stone because they're mixed universes. And I found that I was like, I don't think it's scary enough, spooky enough.
Yeah.
But then I was like, all right, what other games would be? And then The Quarry was recommended, very highly reviewed. The Medium was recommended, highly reviewed. Amnesia the Bunker, highly reviewed, and only 6 hours at the most. And all three of those are on Game Pass. And I was like, well, done. Because like Game Pass is the goodness. Like I and we'll talk about it because their bottom tier really nixed a lot of games that I enjoyed this year. But
and last year.
And last year, yeah. But going down this spooky road, I found that Game Pass has a lot to offer. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm excited for that because I do want to play the Medium. That's a nice solo game. I want to play The Quarry with my wife. Because we decided, because we both love spooky, but we're so busy. She does 2 jobs. One of them, by the way, is teaching at a college where they work on cadavers. Like,
Yeah.
But they love or we both love spooky, but we never have time in October. So we started in September. So that's been nice. Yeah.
It is full on spooky season right now. I've been listening to like spooky ambient like videos on YouTube's like 3 to 11 hour like ambient spooky. I was just talking to a chick last night while we were sailing around fishing. I was like, I need to find some new videos because these ones are all just using the same audio track. I've been listening to the same ambient spooky music for about a week now, and I need to find some new stuff. So I've been looking around for some new videos. But yeah, dude, now's a great time to kind of kick up some of that stuff. And you know, I'll say like I've been playing a little bit of Phasmophobia on PC, just to, you know, have that experience of like, you know, paranormal activity in a house and stuff. And it's definitely gets a little freaky at times. I thought I'd be fine with it and whatnot, and there was definitely a couple points I was like, oh God. This sucks. I don't want to get chased by a ghost anymore. Let me out of the house. Because it's one of those things where I would say, like, you know, with most places, you know, you see ghost paranormal activity and people are like walking around there and they're like, oh, something happens, and you're just like, oh, we'll just leave the house. No, the ghost locks the doors on you, so then you have to like run and hide, but you don't actually get to see the ghost, so you just don't really know like where you can go to hide. It's definitely very very fun and very freaky. I know Dan Diwali and for the nerd chat, they were talking about in our private chat. He was asking about like Friday the 13th versus Dead by Daylight. And I got to agree with you on this. I think Dead by Daylight's going to be the superior pick on this, no matter what, because of just of the fact that you can literally go in and find just about any horror character that you love and have them as your main character through the story. It's like going in, and I think like they just announced or just released Black Cat for Fortnite. and it looks fantastic. But we've had like Doom and Iron Man, and we've had all these other characters, and we're gonna start getting into like the spooky stuff. So like I loved last year when we got Mike Myers, and it has like the little keyboard with the knife,
So
and
good.
it's playing the music and stuff. It's like now's a great time to be hanging out and just kind of jumping into some of these spooky games and having fun with them, especially with people starting to kick up the season a little bit earlier.
It does feel like they're kicking up earlier, and I like it because it doesn't step on another holiday's toes. That's always something that's like the
Well,
Christmas,
okay.
Thanksgiving thing. I like that spooky can start. And hold on,
September 19th. September 19th. We must observe it talk like a pirate day.
I apologize,
But it's
Logan.
only one day.
I didn't realize that I was. You know what? Egg on my face. Egg on my face
In September, that's fine. As long as that's all we need. We can start spooky season. But on the 19th, everyone, please just remember, talk like a pirate. That's all I got to say.
So, all right, I was going to do this in the back half of the show, but let's bring up, because of talking early, Modern Warfare 3's new season is called The Haunting. Yeah. And I did not expect to go back to Modern Warfare 3 or Modern Warfare in general, Warzone in general. I had fully planned to put down Call of Duty until Black Ops because we didn't want to burn out, right? We know we're going to play a lot of Black Ops. We know we're going to review Black Ops. We've played a lot of Warzone and Modern Warfare 3, the campaign, everything. I was not preparing to go back to it at all. I was happy. Like, I was like, all right, that's cool. No problem. Like, I'll take a COD break, go back in. I love COD, but season 5 didn't really do it for me. I was like, all right, I'm just going to wait to see the stuff they're putting into season 6 for The Haunting. And they do a Haunting every year, and it's been very good, right? Like, we enjoyed.
Amazing.
We enjoyed
Diablo.
Oh, so cool. But what I like about this is it's starting with ample time, because one of the things I dislike in games is when they only give you a week to enjoy seasonal content. If it's Christmas, give me all of December. If it's Halloween, all of October, please. Well, this one's starting September 18th, and you and I are going to not celebrate until the 20th because I talk like a pirate day.
Well, no. We can do the 18th.
Okay.
We can do the 20th.
Okay. All right.
But
all
the
right,
19th, fair. We're sailing.
That's fair. Okay, sure. Fair. But what's so cool about it is, like, this season of The Haunting, Michael Myers is in there, Art the Clown from the Terrifier, Walking Dead crossovers that do not already exist in there. They've redone a bunch of their maps to have multiple types of spooky in there, like your demonic ghosties, also your dark and serial killery. There's a bunch of more characters that are crossing over, and I really dig that. Like, I love when that happens. So now I can enjoy Modern Warfare again and still see all these like spooky elements, but celebrate the season of spooky, which I'm there for. And I saw in chat, I think it was GoldenEye, hoping that the Halloween Evil Dead retro game from Retro Realms, that combo 16-bit mashup I talked about. Yeah. So I talked to the team behind that. We're going to try and have them on the show. It looks like we're going to get to, so keep your eyes peeled. Nice. And we are going to get to review that one. And I'm stoked because that's exactly that. Again, season of spooky. That's fun. It's not too high stakes. It's not just jump scares, because like some of those spooky games can be cheap, like in their jump scariness. I think it's great. Like, I'm really excited, I guess, for this season's spooky, because not just am I into it, there seems like there's a lot of stuff to do, and it's happening early enough to enjoy it.
Yeah, that was, I think, one of the issues that we had last year is that we had like a lot of games coming out with spooky stuff around the same time, and we were constantly trying to like, how do we want to like be able to spread our time out evenly across the different game services to be able to enjoy some of that stuff? Because there were definitely times where it's like, okay, well, how much more of the butcher stuff do we have to do in COD before we can jump over to Fortnite? Right. And start playing through some of that stuff and getting some of those skins. And it was just like, it was a little tough. So the fact that they're doing this, obviously it feels like the reason why they're trying to get The Haunting out now is because of Black Ops release in October. The biggest issue I have with this is that a lot of this stuff is really awesome, but I'm not guaranteed that these skins are going to transfer over to Black Ops 6. Right. Because of that, it is really tough for me to look at some of the cool skins and be like, I feel like I can actually buy those because I know that they're going to transfer over. From 2 to 3 for Modern Warfare, it was less of a question. Now it doesn't feel like I'm going to be as secure as like buying Mike Myers for Fortnite from last year, knowing that this year he may not be available, but I'll still get to use him. So
Mhm.
I definitely think that there's a bridge that they need to make between these games, given that they're on the same launcher, they're effectively made by the same teams. There's obviously communication between the companies as far as like how the studios try and bring content to and from. They've pushed so hard to try and sell Black Ops 6.
Mhm.
Microsoft is doing a lot to bring it over to Game Pass and stuff, and I feel like they really need to consider that some of the skins that you have from previous games should carry over. That content
Mhm.
is just digital assets.
Mhm.
I want to have a library. I want to have like and again, and when we're going to be talking about this in another topic, but digital rights are not as strong as they should be in the United States, and only in the EU are they really starting to try and like kind of craft what those terms of legislation should be to
Mhm.
try and ensure that consumers digital purchases are
Mhm.
protected by ownership rights that give them access to that content beyond when the store beyond when that content is just relevant.
I think and Jampack Sam saying in chat that Modern Warfare skins are only going over to Warzone and Black Ops 6 is a fresh start. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the kicker, is that it's engine dependent. Yes, your some of the stuff exists in the same launcher, but Black Ops 6 has omnidirectional movement, a whole new style of movement and interaction, whereas MW's 2 and 3 were on the same engine. So there is
Right.
a hiccup there, but you as a consumer don't care about that. You
Yeah.
deserve to have what you spent your money on and showcase it. I agree with you. I will be very upset if my stuff doesn't carry over in Warzone comfortably, or they don't do some sort of incentive,
Yeah.
some sort of reward for longtime players. The counterpoint is you buy a skin to play in that game, in that season, whatnot. You buy a season
Mhm.
pass for that season. And that is a comfortable outlet for them to say, well, that's what you bought it for. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, many times over, do I get stuck in that cycle of like, well, no, if I'm buying the season pass for the Haunting in COD, I'm buying it so I can be Michael Myers during Halloween, right? So I can
Mhm.
be this spooky stuff in that time. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I do think they should, as a show of good faith, find a way to reward people. But they also do need to have a fresh start, and there's a balance there that is difficult to identify.
Yeah, I guess my question would be is are they removing content, or are they preventing content coming over from previous games? And I'm speaking specifically to skins that are in the store, stuff that you're paying actual money for. When it comes to like like story based skins or even gun skins, camos,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, I can totally understand them wanting to like keep those in separate buckets. But if I'm paying money for a skin and you can bring that over to Warzone, I should have access to that in multiplayer, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to go back to Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer after I've had 3 months of omnidirection Black Ops 6. That's
Mm-hmm.
just it's a mindset that I'm willing to just push off in the distance. So when
Sure.
you're selling me content in a game that is like on a time frame, it is like
Mm-hmm.
ticking down, like how many days is this going to be relevant before
Mm-hmm.
the new game comes out and everyone switches over. I guarantee you I'm going to be less inclined to want to spend money in that store unless you
Mm-hmm.
can make certain promises. It's like, don't announce the Switch 2 a year in advance of the Switch before it comes out, because you're going to nix any sales on the
Right.
Switch OLED. Like,
Right.
that's just bad business practice. And we already know Black Ops 6 is coming out. So
Mm-hmm.
if there aren't protections in place for the consumer, I'm going to vote with my wallet. As much as I
Mm-hmm.
want to spend money in COD, as much as I want to spend time in Modern Warfare 3 playing as those characters, if I
Mm-hmm.
don't have those kind of like guarantees or considerations from the dev team, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like my time and my effort and my money are not being respected, and that's a big issue right now in the industry.
Mm. Fair. It's a legitimately fair concern on the consumer side, and I think there are a lot of right ways to handle it,
Hmm.
and quite a few wrong ways as well, which sounds so like ambiguous, and I don't mean for it to be like this catch-all statement. I just think that there is a line On the consumer side, it's like, no, you bought it from Modern Warfare. Now you're trying to play Black Ops 6 and you want your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
But when you put them in the same launchers and they have modes that overlap, like Warzone, there is that weird gray area. And so I think it's a fair question. I'm curious to watch how they handle it. I'm especially curious as far as Call of Duty goes, is like we're seeing a lot of price changes in the industry across the board. And I know PlayStation's our next topic. Yeah, that's our next topic after we read some.
So bizarre.
Yeah, I want to read some shout outs first, but like to try and find a way to make profit, make balance, go forward, but also not take advantage of your consumer is difficult. Fortnite has the benefit of being the same launcher game, no sequel since inception, right? It's existed the same way. And you can tell skins that are released more recently to ones at the beginning of the game based on detail. Some are made in old Unreal Engine, some new. But like Destiny 1 and 2, you know, like there's you bought it in Destiny, not Destiny 2. So there will be you bought it in Modern Warfare. You didn't buy it in Black Ops 6. And I'm curious how much we Black Ops 6 drive sales for Game Pass and the like.
It's really it's funny you bring that up because they're literally bringing old school Destiny skins like transmog to Destiny 2 as part of like the upcoming celebration that they're doing. And it's like, oh, okay, so you want us to buy the stuff that we had, or you want us to like go and grind for the stuff that we had back in Destiny 1 instead of just carrying it over. It's like I look at games like I look at games like Fortnite, which Jam Pack Sam calls out very well in chat, saying that Fortnite has handled it exceptionally well. If Call of Duty keeps playing in that style of space, they've got to match that expectation. I look at games like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, when they put a transmog system in, they started selling content on their in-game shop for money that was purely cosmetic. That was just transmog. But they slowly over the years looked at all of the content that they've made for the game and started to expand it, to grow it, to take into consideration, like everyone wants to get these transmogs, everyone wants to get these cosmetics. And a lot of people that had the cosmetics when the game transmog system came out were graduated in with that stuff. So you could get it if you had it, you could then delete it, but you would still retain the access to it, regardless of what expansion World of Warcraft has gone into, because transmog came out probably 10 years ago at this point. And since then, they have just expanded upon, grown, and enhanced that system to try and take into account all the stuff that comes into the game, as well as making sure that people retain a lot of the access to the content that they used to have, even if it was like legendary, epic, uniques, things that you shouldn't be able to transmog. They've slowly tried to like pull those back in, even if it's tying it to a quest, and say like, hey, if you're a demon hunter and you want Illidan's Warglaves from BC back in 2005, we understand. You're going to have to go through a quest lane, and you know, it's going to take some time and some effort working with some other people. You'll get there. And if you get there, you'll get rewarded. Fair enough. That's something that I think that Call of Duty needs to do. I don't care if I have to do a certain thing to unlock some of the skins that I've purchased in previous games, but at least put that option on the table.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it's just such a layered thing. And when you exist in a world of live service where games come out and get shut down so quickly, like Concord, come out and struggle, Suicide Squad, and the big heavy hitters, Call of Duty, Fortnite, Destiny, Warcraft, Sea of Thieves, you know, like you've got to find a way to reward your returning consumers en masse, but still generate profit. And I just it's tough. Yeah, like I think we said when we saw Concord shutting down, not every good riddance, and yes, I think so, but not in a cruel way. No. You cannot chase Fortnite and Destiny and Call of Duty and expect to be the next Fortnite, Destiny, and Call of Duty. X Defiant is on it's not on life support, but like it knows it's sick. Something's got to happen, and they're pushing to the creator programs. They're pushing to what is it? Twitch drops. They're pushing, trying to make X Defiant stick. And it started strong, but it's starting to fade. And when you've got Black Ops 6 on the horizon, when you've got a season as strong as the Haunting for a Modern Warfare base that exists across mobile, PlayStation, PC, Xbox, like you've got to find special ways to survive. So
Yeah.
it's
Do
tough.
you think? I think this is a really interesting question from Dan in from the nerd chat. I have no problem buying skins against again in Black Ops 6, but I want them to offer them like Mike Myers one. Do you think it would be bad form for them to offer it from like this for Modern Warfare, not letting people know like, hey, by the way, in a month we're going to be selling it on Black Ops 6?
That is bad form, particularly because you can use that skin in Warzone.
Yeah.
That is bad form. But like, what are some of the other crossovers? Some of the old Walking Dead ones that were in battle passes, or
Michonne.
I think it was Godzilla, Michonne, yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of the
Rick.
other crossovers they did. But if they did some of the stuff that existed in, yikes, oh man, that movie. So if they've got those, and you expect to have them 6 months away from when they first released, that's a little bit of a stretch. You just need to communicate to your fan base, your customers, what it's going to be. When they did Modern Warfare 2 to 3 and they had that jump, I thought they transitioned the players very well by when you purchased a skin pack, playable in, it had mobile, it had MW3, it had Warzone listed, and it was like checked or crossed out. Something like that, which would be good. That would be good. The kicker is because it's a new engine and because there's new movement, they might have to redesign that entire skin. So a Mike Myers skin that works in Fortnite, I'm sorry, not Fortnite, Modern Warfare, may have to be completely retooled and redesigned to exist in Black Ops. So that's the kicker. That's work. Yeah. That's work on their end.
I think regardless of the omnidirection, they have to do that just because you can't, if you're on different engines, you can't import assets and just expect them to necessarily work the same way. Like they have the raw files, they have like the connections to the studios to be able to grab those assets and stuff. So the work is done. It just needs to be translated. It's like a Rosetta Stone. It's like you got the book, you just need something to translate it over to the other language so that you can understand it and stuff. And it is going to take time. It is going to take, people working on that. But I think that needs to be a consideration going into how you monetize your games. If you're going to be living under the same launcher, like if it were cut and dry and I had to boot up Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2 on one launcher, and then I had to boot up a separate launcher for Black Ops 6, I would agree. Okay. Segregate the content. I completely understand. Have Warzone as its own little beast away from everything. But because you have like these installation guides for which campaign you install on where and multiplayer and all that stuff, it's like it feels a little like kind of like shady for them to say like, oh well, we can't do this. It's like you can do enough of it that Warzone isn't an issue. So let's try and like have a discussion about getting some of this pulled over so that way it feels less like a crappy deal for us.
That said, I think they're okay with giving us a crappy deal, and I would like to talk about that after we talk about our patrons and people that support, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I just want to say very quickly, as a huge thank you to everybody that supports the XEP financially. You guys have done an incredible job, and I will tell you, like our Canva prices are going up next year from we pay $110 right now a month or a year. I'm sorry, a year, and it will be going up to $400 a year. So I will be putting all of your super chats, Patreon subscriptions, YouTube channel subscriptions to very good use. It helps us keep the show going. We were able to pay for the Podbean subscription last month. We were able to get Logun a game for coverage. We put it to good use, and I thank all of you. It really does help tremendously. So if you can spare a few dollars, I really try to ask it, I guess you would say, but I'm going to ask now. If you're able to gift a subscription, sub on Patreon, do a super chat sometime, please keep that in mind and just know that we put it to good use, and I try to be very transparent about where it goes. To that end, Logan, would you mind talking about our Patreon shout outs?
Yeah. So as every week, we love to shout out the tier 2 and tier 3 patrons for supporting us and just giving us their time, energy, and love. So this week, we're going to be reading out the names of all of the tier 2 and tier 3 patrons. So thank you to Edward, Chris 1H1D, Nicholas Johnson, Ellery Woods Parker III, Rob Frawley II, Tao Zochi, Randall Thor 19, Silkenit, African, aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jampack Sam, Matt Valdez, Neo Prime 33, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, The Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler, Clint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support. Please, if you can, always never needed, but always appreciated. The tip jars over at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. Head over there if you want to jump in there. They are also the patrons that are allowed to come to the community episode at the end of each month. We usually sit down and talk about games that we're playing. I believe we are going to have our next one on, it is October 1st at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that's typically the first Tuesday of every month that we're going to be doing that. So October 1st for that one, November 5th for the next one after that. So any of the patrons or community members that are signed up or supporting, their access is granted for that episode. You're more than welcome to come in, talk about what you're playing, stuff like that.
Yeah, poor Silkenit last time, because we did change it. Silkenit in chat saying, "Please don't leave me alone." I guess we weren't very fun. Do you think he hates us? Might be it.
Yeah, it's probably should pull support. Yeah.
And the last thing I want to reiterate, Logan said it, and I want to just double down on it. Forgive the double down.
When are you going to get one of them?
It is always appreciated, but genuinely never required. I just want everyone to know where it goes and how it's used, and I appreciate it because money is tight for a lot of people. There are a lot of podcasts and places to put your time and energy, and so we appreciate you, and I want you to know where your support goes. If that's not you and you can't, the like button, the share button genuinely helps. So we appreciate all of you guys. You're awesome. You're awesome.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Hey, Abdel114. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you.
Welcome. I just wanted to call this out because I know Silkenit loves attention. So I just wanted to leave this up on the screen for a little bit longer. Just a moment of silence to recognize Silkenit.
A moment of silence, indeed. There you go. Okay, so let's give a quick disclaimer before we bring up our next topic. We are not a console war podcast. There is no genuine joy that we take in the failures of PlayStation or the successes of Xbox over PlayStation in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think that the gaming industry is well served by that happening. So please keep that part in mind as we go through. Now that I've said that, Logan, PlayStation, man, they stepped on a rake harder than I've seen Xbox step on one in a while. But it was pretty rough because I've seen both of them step on some rough rakes lately. That's for sure. PlayStation Pro was announced this past week with the sultry voice of Mark Cerny, who, by the way, could lull me to sleep in the best of ways. Just hold me. I'll send you my ears. PlayStation Pro was revealed, and it is a $700 console. A $700 console, which to me is my first gut reaction. I don't need to read specs. I don't need to check Twitter. I don't need to talk to Discord. I don't need to know anything. $700 for a home console is pushing into PC territory. I think it's absolute insanity. I think it's wild when any console maker puts a console over $500. It really just, I was taken aback. I think it's a huge mistake. And then when I went in to look at what the PlayStation 5 Pro, I should say, offers, I'm flabbergasted. I don't know who this is for. I don't know how anyone can support this decision. It seems tragic and stupid and silly. And I think Sony really needs to examine their situation. I feel a similar way, perhaps with a little less angst towards the 2 terabyte sparkly Xbox Series X. Don't know what you're doing there at $600. You're not selling them. I'm just confused. There is a distinct reason people go to a console market and people go to a PC market. And I think about our friends at the Nerd Chat. I'm shocked that anybody could support a console this expensive. What was your take, my friend?
Oh man. Okay. $700. I want to take out just the idea that $700 is the price factor here and just address the PlayStation Pro as its own.
Mm-hmm.
2 terabytes. I think it's got a 46% increase in graphics power. They're focusing a lot on AI upscaling. They're focusing a lot on performance. Mark Cerny talking about the fact that 75% of users use performance mode indicates to me something that I've been harping on forever, that people don't want 30 frames per second. This isn't the dark ages. We aren't using 4x8 or 4x3 screens anymore. We're upgrading our computers. We're upgrading our systems. We should be expecting 60 frames per second baseline. The fact that this thing doesn't have a disk drive, it doesn't come with a stand. There are some, it has 2 terabytes, which you mentioned the $600 Xbox Series X with the 2 terabytes, the Sparkly Edition.
Has a disk drive and a stand.
It doesn't need a stand. Doesn't even need a stand. It stands up on its own. It stands up on the side. You could probably, the only thing you can't do is put it on its edge, and that's the only thing. But that's fine because you don't need to. 2 terabytes for that at 600 is still cheaper than buying a 1 terabyte extension card, which is its own issue. So the cost proposition there compared to what you'd be getting if you wanted to buy like a baseline PS5 Pro with the same features as the introductory flagship PS5 would have to include the stand and the disk drive, which the fact that there's been a run on disk drives for $80 right now is ridiculous. The fact that people are actually buying this says to me that Sony has somehow turned into Tim Cook and managed to swindle people out of their money the same way that they keep selling iPhones every year with marginal graphics in display and camera improvements and 1 or 2 little features just to kind of differentiate them, their little rectangle, their little black rectangle from other black rectangles that they've released the year before.
For anyone that doesn't know who Tim Cook is, he's talking about Apple and iPhones.
Yes.
I'm just thinking about like somebody like Tim Cook's been gone for a while, hadn't he?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Steve Jobs.
That's what I'm thinking of. Christ. All right, cool. Sorry about that. I was just like, now Logan, don't forget he's dead.
Now I know you listen to the press and the media when it comes to politics, and you're used to hearing him called Tim Apple, but no, his name is Tim Cook.
Sorry, everybody.
So it's one of those situations where looking at what they are offering and then taking into account the $700 price tag. I genuinely think that this is the generation that I knew was coming, and I called it out. So there's 2 things that I've like had in my mind this whole generation. For 2020, I was like, PlayStation's coming off a real big high with the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Their games have been excellent. They've been selling well. They're the hottest thing on the market right now. Xbox has a lot to do to try and compete with them. That is going to be hubris for them in the PS5 generation, and I can already tell they sold us on it being a generation, or them differentiating the generations by saying like the PS5 is separate from the PS4, and there's going to be significant improvements to the console that showcase how good that is. That's why you're going to be looking at things like Ratchet and Clank being able to do the Rift travels with the memory speeds that they can do. There's nothing else on the market that can do that for a console. You know, that's like something that is specific just to the PS5 Pro. That's why you have to buy that. The DualSense control. There were so many little marketing beats that they sold us at the start of the PS5 that I immediately saw this as like snake oil salesman stuff. I'm like, this is ridiculous. They're going way over on how much they want to push people to the PS5 because they sold the PS4 so well, but they're not going to have the content because they literally are pushing out everything for the PS4 right now. So they're not going to have anything ready for the PS5. And sure enough, 4 years in, they have nothing for the PS4 right now, or for the PS5 right now. Then you look at the cost of games going up to $70. They're like, we want to push the $70 price tag. Pissed everyone off. And I was like, they're losing goodwill here. They're burning goodwill that has been earned by really good studios putting out really good content. And they're just it's fleeting. Then they come out with the PSVR 2, bombs. Comes out with the PS Portal, meh. Now they're trying to sell us on a $700 upgrade to a system. And the talking points, the 8-minute video that they gave this guy to sit here and sell us on this is that it's going to be removing the choice of like fidelity or performance. They want the fidelity mode to have 60 frames per second. And I'm sitting here thinking, these are all for PS4 games.
I noticed that
of course they're going to look good. They're all PS4 games.
They kept showing the remasters of old games. It was very strange. So like, all right, not tinfoil hat, but like, okay, why or how could this have happened? Was it supposed to be Concord? Were they trying to?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
But like, what was their plan here? You have to have a game that showcases a reason. And like Todd Oxtra in chat, shout out to Todd, who's just been wonderfully supportive ever since XEP. I think about him regularly, actually, just in how much I appreciate him. He says, I think Sony knows that this is a niche product. Maybe 10% will get it. I think only 15% of the PS4 users were pro. That's a big thing to try and put out there. Like, console markets are dwindling. I don't know that this is a good move for Sony, given what we've heard from the Insomniac hack and otherwise. Man. And showcasing old games to do it. Do you really need to see The Last of Us remastered with your Pro? I don't know.
I wish I could believe that you were actually stuttering on that remaster, but that's actually what it's called. That's the actual name for it. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. The Last of Us remastered. So to focus on the point that Todd's trying to make here, there was a small percentage of people that went from the PS4 to PS4 Pro. The cost difference between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro was not as wide as the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. This thing is not going to sell well. The only compelling argument I've seen so far right now is that GameStop is offering $410 in store credit towards a trade-in for a PS5 towards the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
That's the only compelling argument I've made. It's a good deal.
A good deal. Yeah,
but
good deal.
But you still have to, I'm going to tell you right now, at some point, those external hard drives, which have to be authorized online, those servers are going to die. And you're not going to be able to authorize your PS5 disk drive anymore. So that those systems, the Slim and the PS5 Pro that don't have the built-in disk drive, those are going to die. The original PS5, which I have sitting in my living room, that has the disk drive built in, that is going to become the PS3 that had the PS2 and 1 thing
the back
in
compat
it.
one.
The back compat one. That's how this is going to go. They are legitimately rehashing the PS3 life cycle in this PS5 Pro, and it is going to bomb hard because they don't have the games right now. They have nothing to showcase it. They have no reason to actually show it. And the things that they are touting are all things that developers should be doing anyway. There should be 60 frames as a baseline for this. The fact that Mark Cerny comes out and calls 30 frames per second on their first party content choppy tells me you guys know that you're pushing fidelity when fidelity is not what people want. People want 60 frames per second.
Yep. Quick pause here. I do want to give a shout out and a thank you to Edward for dropping a $5 super chat and supporting XEP. We appreciate it. Aww. We know that's hard-earned money, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And energy that you're putting in it. It helps so much. And so I will thank you sincerely, both vocally, on paper, everything I can do. So thank you, Edward. I do also want to point out a couple other comments that I saw. This one from Lyrically C, which I think is Edward Varnell, based on the picture, who I love tremendously as well. Says, I wonder, will people go into retail stores to see how it actually looks and runs? Like the idea of a kiosk to showcase it, because to his point, and he says it in a follow-up comment, YouTube doesn't really show. When I was watching it on YouTube, like I saw no difference whatsoever. You have to go into your YouTube settings, switch it to 4K, look at it slow. You need a digital foundry to go in and break down stuff. And I do not need it. And I will tell you, it is Edward Varnell. Amazing. Good to see you, buddy, my friend. So I will say, like, I was listening to the Trophy Room with Kyle Stevenson, and his co-host, Joseph Moran, my son, was saying that, like, well, I'm gonna get, I don't want to get it, but I'm gonna get a PS5 Pro for the show to cover it, right? To cover it. And I was actually, for some reason, I was offended by that, right? I was like, oh, like that genuinely bothered me. And like I told Joe this isn't behind his back or anything, but I was like, that bothers me. And he's like, well, what do I do as a creator? Because I don't want to support this, but I want to give good coverage. And like, I get it. And so it got me thinking, stick with me one second. It got me thinking, okay, where's my line for what I would cover for Xbox? And it is a price point, because I surely didn't buy the sparkly edition of a Series X. I didn't buy the black version of a Series S, because I use my Series S. I use my Series X. I have put thousands of hours on this Series X since it came out. I use it almost every day without joking. Unless I'm not home, I'm using my Series X. I love it. I love it. But the one I have serves me, and I cannot in any rational world justify $600 to upgrade on account of a terabyte, because I have the expansion slot and everything else. And it wouldn't even matter if I didn't. The only way I would spend that money, Logan, would be if my current Series X broke and I was in an okay financial standing. So I don't know who the series or the PS5 Pro is for. It just is wild to me, because there's just not a tangible benefit beyond who has a TV to show 8K comfortably and be fine. Very niche markets. And so I just don't get it. I don't get it.
For me, I can't turn the camera because I got some I have some stickers on my PC case that I probably shouldn't be putting on screen. We'll get in trouble. But I spent a lot of money on this on building this PC.
Mm-hmm.
And this PC cost me probably close to $3,000 to $4,000 to build over time. Mm-hmm. This PC is going to outlast the PS5 and the PS5 Pro and potentially the PS6. Mm-hmm. There is so much that when I look at the fact that this is going to be their next console for the next 3 to 4 years, I see the arguments that people are putting forward for the whole like PC thing. But there is something to be said about having consoles in a household that give accessibility, because it's more than just a console for most families. It's also the entertainment system. Mm-hmm. It's their access to Disney. It's their access to Netflix. It's their access to YouTube, to Twitch, to games in general, and just movies. You know, how many times have I gone onto my TV and used like my little Apple TV here, thinking like, you know, I really hate how slow that is. I'm really tempted to take that and just upgrade to like a Series S. And I have no reason to, but because the Series S is so affordable, the Series S is like still faster than my Apple TV, I can still get all the same apps. But then I'd at least have access to my game library as well too on this TV. I don't need it because I've got my little G Cloud right there. I've got a Switch or my Xbox Series X behind this monitor that I use for capturing coverage. I can pull out this little guy right here. Mm-hmm. This little guy right here has games, and I just go from one system to the other.
And the side note, because of the way that thing's designed, the quick resume works. I have quick resumed on Series X, plucked my card, gone down, and quick resumed on my S from that. It's wild. It's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I genuinely love the fact that you can do that stuff. So when I see like internal 2 terabytes coming out for something like the PlayStation 5 Pro, I'm like, that's good. That's baseline, but that should not be the thing that sells you on it.
Mm-hmm. Quick shout out. I just did our monthly cap for gifting subs over here. And then A-Check followed up by gifting 5 XEP subs.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
You don't get to say that. I get to say that.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, A-Check. We really appreciate you. Sincerely, it really does help the show. And so big thank you for that one. And thank you all for being here. They're gifted at random, and we hope you guys enjoy them and are able to make use of these super fun little emotes or emoticons, I guess you would call them. I don't know what they are, but we appreciate you guys. I need to make some more. If you guys have ideas for more, let me know.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to note also on this, like supporting PlayStation specific, right? And I made a very clear statement when we started this segment. We do not attack PlayStation on account of the fact that they're PlayStation. It's not a console war thing ever. I, as a gamer and a consumer, I'm with my PS5, somebody who loved the Vita, who loved my PS4, loved my PS2 and 1. I played my PS3 some. I do not know how a gamer that loves PlayStation goes and gets a PS5 Pro when you look at their lack of support for the VR unit that they put out, PSVR 1 and 2, when you look at the Vita, when you look at how poorly they support their tech. What are the requirements to be a PS5 Pro game?
Yeah.
They're so minimal in what they require you to do to become labeled PS5 Pro worthy. I am taken aback, and I think anybody that is in the know will scoff at the idea of supporting PS5 Pro, and I think they're going to take advantage of consumers that don't.
Yeah, and I really love this comment from Abdel.
Mm-hmm.
But the choices of quality and performance aren't going away. They'll just change. Cerny already said some games we've got 3 different pro settings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest, man. When I saw this, one of the things that kind of ticked me off about all this is they're promising like fidelity with 60 frames per second. And I'm like, that's if the devs do this. There's no guarantee that the devs are going to go in. Ubisoft, really good at adopting hardware. They're the first ones to really support the Switch when it first came out as a third-party publisher. There are not guarantees in place right now that we know about that will guarantee that games that come from third-party publishers are going to be able to take advantage of these SDK kits to be able to pump out content that takes advantage of the PS5 Pro. And I can tell you right now, a lot of studios do like to publish for the PlayStation because it is so popular. They're going to look at the groundswell of people saying $700 is too much for a console that doesn't have a disc drive or a stand. And they're going to think about meetings. They're going to have meetings about whether or not they're going to actually support this. And it's going to be really telling when this console comes out. If we don't see a groundswell of support from the studios saying like, hey, we're taking advantage of this. You can upgrade your console right, or you can upgrade your game right now if you have the console and be able to start playing at 60 frames per second with all the fidelity modes or added ray tracing or anything like that. This is going to be a dead console because of that. It doesn't matter what the console can do. It matters what the developers are going to actually take advantage of. And there's no guarantee.
It won't look dead because the PS5 Pro, they might lump in sales, right? You know, like they were lumping in all other types of sales. But yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know that I want to be proven wrong or right here. I just hate the idea that a console can exist at that price point and people won't scoff at it. Hello, John Wolf here. Good to see you, buddy. I love John Wolf. I really enjoy him on, I think it's Monday nights. He works with TKO Asante. Great podcast. Really love John Wolf. We need to have him on for sure. We had a couple of questions from our Discord that were on this topic, and I feel like we've answered some of them, but I want to make sure that we definitely address them. This one came from Ellery Woods Parker III, and they asked us, waiting for it to be able to put it on screen. There we go. Ellery says, what would the next gen console need to feature for you to stick with console before jumping into PC? They add, I might say, what would give them pause is jumping over to PC would be if Xbox or PlayStation consoles came with Steam or Epic. Because like if you had the access to your Steam library from your Xbox, why go to PC? Or would it support you going to PC? And then I see you with your ROG Ally. That's our next question with Red Beast.
That's my G Cloud.
Your G Cloud.
My Steam Cloud. It's just a streaming device. But I've got access to my PlayStation. I've got access to my Xbox. I've got access to cloud streaming through Xbox. I've got access to my Steam library. And it's all on Wi-Fi in a handheld form with a 12-hour battery for $300.
Okay. So that price point is super approachable then.
Yes. For a device that gives me access to every single one of my devices. Now, granted, there's issues. I run into connectivity issues sometimes when I'm trying to link up to my Steam. Sometimes it's like, hey, you need to log on the computer if you want to jump onto your Steam thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I get off the couch or I get off the bed and I go log on to it on my PC and my PC does all the work. I just stream it to my device. That's all that really is.
Okay.
But I don't have to sit there and make a choice with the G Cloud. It's all available to me. So But that is a really good question. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this first.
As far as like what the next console needs to feature to stay with console, I need for any console to me has to be plug and play, right? I get that you might need to log into an account. I get that you might need an app here and there for certain features. But when I remember the Xbox One, the VCR version, not the One S, One X, because they streamlined the process, but it was so many steps to just get started playing. And moving forward, every console has to have forward and backward compatibility, which I anticipate them having at this point on, just based on how they built their ecosystems. But I cannot afford to give up the plug and play approach of a console that is not appropriate or fair, because then I'm just in PC territory. Right now, your PS5 and your Xbox Series consoles, they are PCs form factored and hypervisored into a console experience. And I am fine with that. It needs to feel like a console experience. But the moment that I'm dealing with complex processes to load into a game, particularly a single player game, then it becomes a very different thing. And I'm pushed back. That I think is why Nintendo, or at least a factor for why Nintendo remains a market leader, is it's just, it's going to work. It just needs to work. That's what made iPhone in its initial experience so popular. You bought it for that simplicity. So there needs to be something in there to purchasing a console that makes it works. It works. I see you with your Switch. What do you want to say?
This right here. This is what the next console generation needs to be able to do. I need to be able to have something that I can dock on my screen that will give me the fidelity or like good enough graphics on my TV that I still have the enjoyment of being able to play games at a high frame rate. Because fidelity to me isn't, it's important. Like, I don't like blurry games. You know, obviously I got like these guys right here. I don't really like playing with these guys, but I can't live without them. So I don't like blurry games. I like to have sharp vision. I need something that is going to be like grab and go. The Switch has revolutionized the gaming industry. Legit. Look at Nisa talking about the ROG Ally. Having that portability, having the access to the content is king, especially when it's on the go, especially for people that want to be able to do that. They need to be able to have a model that is grab and go, handheld, and they need to have a model that is sit at home, fidelity, performance, 120 frames, 1080 at 120, 4K at 60. They need to have those hardcore systems and be able to have the two systems talk to each other just the same way that the systems talk to each other right now. But they need to have something that allows me to have native gameplay on the go, the way like a Switch does, the way a ROG Ally does. And they need to have another system for the enthusiast market that the PS5 Pro is shooting for. They are trying to go for those whales. They are trying to sell you the best iPhone Max they possibly can. And the only problem right now is that there isn't a killer app to go along with it. If there was a killer app to go along with it, people would suck it up.
A killer app to go along with the money. What specifically?
With the PS5 Pro.
Yes. Okay.
If there was a Wolverine that came out and it was going to take advantage of the PS5 Pro, or GTA 6 was going to take advantage of the PS5 Pro, people would suck it up. They would scoff. They would hem and haw. They would make it work. They'd get a second job. But they very much would do it because that is the sale. It's not the hardware. It's the content. Content is king.
Content is king. You are absolutely correct. For every best Nintendo system that sells super well, they have that killer app, the reason to buy it. And so I think you're right. And one of the things that I think moved PlayStation 4s so well were those single player third party experiences that you couldn't get anywhere else. Those were their killer apps.
Yeah.
The PS5, I think, banked on a lot of the PS4's goodness, and you got those remasters. I felt, what was the comment that Jam Pack Sam made? The Last of Us remake, remasters, director's cut, legacy edition. So good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the go, John Wolf says, and I think is echoing a lot of the chat saying, everybody, the big three of gaming, know you need to be on the go at this point. Edward Varnell pointing out that like Nintendo was flamed at first for the Switch in some ways because it was underpowered and such, but that the model of that on the go plug and play, but also dock and go is where people are headed. You are absolutely right. And we had a listener earlier in the show, I think Jonas Jerner was saying, now that we have xCloud, you never need to leave the console. And I'm kind of wondering how effective that is. Like, where does xCloud exist in replacement of a console overall? And I think they need to exist side by side. So it doesn't matter what you offer if your price point is a barrier that locks out over half the gamers. And that's the kicker. If you have a console that launches at $1,000 or even close to it, I mean, people in Canada are being hit hard by this. Europe has they're also at 700 quid pound, whatever that is now. But the inflation rate, whatever it's called. I guess
quid is the nickname, pound is the unit.
Thank you, appreciate you. But they're oh my gosh, what's the transfer rate? I can't remember what it's called. I'm just blanking because I'm tired.
Are you talking about like the exchange rate?
Thank you very much. The exchange rate on that 700 makes it way more expensive there. Like, is that the Concord tax? Like, is that where that money's getting made up? It just seems so frustrating. And when you look at Japan, even Sony is losing Japan. Nintendo has won by such a wide margin there. And then you've got PC and cloud there that it's just, I do not understand anyone that tries to justify the PS5 Pro as a good thing. Jeff Keighley's tweets be damned. Like, bro, you don't use dark mode on your computer. I'm over you. Like, dude, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And I'm the one that's always saying, hey, we need the Jeff Keighley's. We need the Schreiers. There's nobody that in their right mind can be out there justifying a PS5 Pro to me right now unless you've got the game. That does it.
When Wario64 starts memeing the PS5 Pro for the price and the content that they're putting out, you know that the dude who's agnostic to everything because all he cares about is providing deals.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you're not hitting the right notes when you're trying to sing this song about how good this thing is supposed to be, because even the dude that is agnostic to everything just tells you about the deals is like, this is bad. This is like, this is not cool.
And then you add the disk drive into that. It's just like,
that right there is the thing that really bothers me. They're selling this to, and shout out to the Digital Foundry for making this point, because I agree with them as well too. So it was good to hear people like echoing my sentiment on this. Mm-hmm. I do not know how you release a PS5 Pro without a disk drive, given that this is intended to be for the nichest of niche markets, like the people that are trying to support your console, the ones that are buying the hardware, the ones that are buying the physical copies of discs, to not give them backwards compatibility for their physical library on the PS5, and you're expecting them to buy the disk drive that then has to get authorized online to a certain time frame. Bro, they are just trying to shoot themselves in the foot here. You said it best when they stepped on a rake that is harder than any other company has stepped on a rake. This is pretty dang close. Like, they're going to have to do some sort of like selling on this. And the fact that they gave us like a 9-minute video, 7 minutes if you take out like the setup for the what the PS5 is, if you look at just the fact that they gave them such a short amount of time, they really did not know how to sell this thing, because again, it kind of comes back to the fact that they're showing off PS4 games as this, like, this is how it's going to look. It's like, cool. Some of those games are on PC. Some of those games we've been playing and they look fantastic, because on PC, you don't compromise on graphics or frame rate. You get both. You pay a lot more. You have to deal with a lot more issues, but you're not just getting a game device either. You're getting like an entire PC.
Okay. So that begs the question. In the thumbnail, in the chat title, I ask, is it time to leave consoles behind? Is it time to leave them behind in favor of a PC, in favor of the hybrid handheld like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck? Is it time to leave consoles behind, or have we already left them behind? Like I did not get to listen to the nerd chat this week. I know they're diehard PC. I know that I want everybody to think about what PlayStation is doing in the last 2-3 years. They're switching their entire market to shift into, we need to be available in more places. We need to be available on PC. We need to have a time limit there. We look at Xbox. They were already on that all the way back to its Play Anywhere initiative. They've been pushing you there. And we have people that are constantly like, well, go play xCloud. I play xCloud. I love xCloud. I play on mobile. I love that stuff. Like I'm pro that. But I'm also pro come in and sit down to my console, plug and play. Is it time to leave consoles behind? People in chat are already weighing in. No, hell no. Tell me your argument. What's your argument? Because your Steam libraries, they look good.
I love my Steam berries. They're great.
Berries.
They're tasty.
They're delicious. Talk to me about why the console should not be left behind or should be. If Bacon's in here, make your pitch, my friend.
Because kids still play these things.
Do they? No, they don't. They play their phones. They play on their laptops. They play their
right, but I mean, like at some point, okay, we'll take out the mobile market for a moment and just kind of address the console market at its stands. If I were who I am right now, and I'm looking to try and like think whether or not consoles are going to maintain. The only way I see these things actually maintaining is if they address a market that can't be done through PC with a tower. Because I'm looking at like the reason why you would go from a $700 console to $1,000 PC is because you want the power and performance that gives you. With what I honestly think is some of the better things about like PC is I don't have to pay a subscription fee to a service just to play online or have my cloud saves. That's already built into every single service on PC. I get access to multiple ecosystems for different sales. I can buy CD keys off of a website versus paying through Steam or Epic or having access to Battle.net. I get a wide berth of games to be able to play however I want. I can pick up an Xbox controller or a Steam controller or pair my Bluetooth controller up to my PC and being able to use that. The one thing that I can't do with my PC tower that I can do with gaming consoles is these things.
Audio listeners can't see what you're holding. He's holding a Switch.
And I'm holding this. Yeah, that's true. I'm holding up my Switch. And that's because these are so grab and go. And a Steam Deck, a ROG Ally, their breaches into that market where they're going to have to try and figure out how to better use things like the big picture mode for Steam and work out the UI. If they can get the UI figured out so that it is as plug and play as a console on a handheld market from a PC perspective, and they can keep producing these handhelds, like I'm pretty sure we're getting a Steam Deck 2 soon. It is very clear to me that PCs are going to be the way that we go, and the console manufacturers that we have will become PC third-party publishers. And I could definitely see this. Sorry, jump in.
Well, no, I've been cycling visually for any YouTube listeners, just the different comments that people are making, and a lot of people. I pulled Suddy's comment off Twitter. I saw Edward Varnell talking. Like a lot of them are very much of the mind that the plug and play approach is the console space. That's what it needs to be, which goes back that was my reasoning as well at the beginning of this show. Like so I'm happy to see that I'm not, like on the outside on this one. But the counterpoints are the sales. The counterpoints are the diversity of games that you don't need to worry about whether you've got a PS5 Pro. You don't need to worry about whether you have an Xbox Series X or a Switch. Like you can just play the game on your PC. I always get frustrated though by the idea, like the joke is like you got to update your drivers and stuff like that. But that is a reality that does happen, right? And I don't like that. I know our friend Daddy D Wally talks about how he plays his PC, but he plays it on his big screen TV with his controller set on the couch. but that requires work to set up. And that's not work that most people want to do. Most people don't want to go buy their phone and set up 1,000 things. They just want it to work.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of the console space. And I think console makers are forgetting that in their hubris. And I hope this fails miserably. The $700 PS5. I hope the $600 Series X fails miserably. Not because I want people to suffer or I want them to do poorly or lose jobs. That's the opposite. If anything, I want the lesson to be learned that there is the console market can be very profitable, but you got to get people in, and you can't do that at a high price point. I would have loved to see Xbox drop the price on the Series X. Like we saw the Xbox sales kick up in Japan, and that's a small market now.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. Like if they at the Tokyo Game Show can say we've got Final Fantasy, we've got this, we've got that, and then they're able to get a price drop in there and say you can play these games that are upcoming on your $600-700 PlayStation or on your $200-300 Series S, your $400 Series X. That's a big win. That's a big win. And so I hope they find a way to do it. But I don't think Xbox is doing well either right now. They're making some stupid ass mistakes. Sorry, some stupid mistakes. Sorry, kids. I have new students. It's different. The world has changed. So I don't know.
I don't think consoles should go anywhere, but I also recognize that for a lot of people, consoles are the safe haven from the work life. That's where I think that market lives and breathes. I've seen some interesting takes coming out. Competition is important. Without consoles, every platform will give us worse price and quality. That doesn't happen on PC. Competition is strong on PC because there's so many markets available for it. You can buy it directly from the developers. You can buy it through Steam. You can buy it through Epic. You can buy it through GOG. There are plenty of. You can get games free through Twitch. There's competition on PC is rife. It's strong. Consoles are where it's lacking. I've also saw if a PC crashes and doesn't cut back on, or something goes wrong, that's a lot of money to invest to fix it so you and others can play a game. I don't disagree that there are a lot more complications that come with PC gaming, but there's a lot that you can do with PC gaming that you can't do with an independent console as well. You are subscribing to. Here's an interesting idea. Do you think that if PlayStation and Microsoft and Nintendo all went third party in the next 4 years, started streaming their content and putting their own apps onto PCs and hardware that was agnostic, do you think that we would still have the tribalism of PC, like console wars?
Yes, but it would be less vocal. But yes, I do think so. And it would be an argument because people like to argue. You know,
I see that there's a little bit of tribalism on PC space between like Epic and Steam, but a lot of that is just because there's certain exclusive contents. But for the most part, most people generally like just download multiple launchers. I got Battle.net, I got Steam, I got Epic, I got GOG. I have all the launchers on Ubisoft. I have the Ubisoft app on there. For me, it's just a matter of downloading whatever launcher I need to. And if I want a game, I usually go to GOG to see if it's in my library, because GOG is one that you can just kind of pull in all of your games into one launcher and actually see like what you have. So I don't necessarily have to think about it. But it doesn't mean that I don't have multiple games across multiple launchers that are the same game. Like I just grabbed the Tomb Raider and I can't remember what other ones I grabbed. But I just grabbed a bunch of free games from Amazon through Twitch Gaming for Epic. And I have an Epic library that's huge, but I never use it because I typically have stuff available through Game Pass because I still have access to the Microsoft Store on there. PlayStation is going to start launching a PC app soon. They're going to start selling their PC games or their games on PC through their own launcher. So we're going to get to a point where we're all just going to be able to have access to all of the different ecosystems on PC. So yes, consoles will eventually go away, except maybe Nintendo, because they're the only ones that are like 10 years behind on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where the idea of a console has rapidly shifted.
Mm-hmm.
It is no longer this box is the most powerful box possible, and it's going to have all of the best exclusives. It's like it's going to have some exclusives, not all of the exclusives, and all the hardware is effectively the same because the same manufacturers are producing the same type of silicone for these companies.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, like, you see people with inflammatory, like, silly comments, I guess, about like what's going to happen with X console because they're going multi-platform or whatnot, or because they're overpricing. Like, they're not going away. They're not going away, but they are diversifying their business. The only way they don't go away is if they don't diversify their business. So having that PC launcher with your games is important. Going multi-platform is important. It hurts me as a longtime Xbox gamer to see like the idea like Hellblade's going, Sea of Thieves went. You're going to see Gears there, right? You're going to have them go multi-platform, but let's not pretend that Concord did so well when it was just on PlayStation. Let's not pretend that Spider-Man didn't go to PC or God of War didn't go to PC. Let's not pretend that stuff. Like, I'm watching this one fool in chat he sounds silly. I'll read your stuff if you super chat it, dummy. But like, pretending that your console is better because it's your console is dumb. And they're all diversifying their business model. They have to. They have to diversify their business model to survive. But it does really bother me because I'm old. But these youth, these kiddos, they don't care. They're playing on PCs, they're playing on mobiles, they're logging in and they're going. And to your point, Logan, of having that one game that you can play in multiple places because you have it on multiple services. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. So can we oh, sorry, did you have anything else you wanted to say there? Because I want to talk about the Game Pass changes.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, my comments about console gaming or consoles going away is on an infinite timescale, people. I'm not talking they're going away in the next 4 years. They may go away in the four next years, or in the next 4 years. They may go away in the next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually consoles will phase out, and we will have different ways of getting content. And to points made earlier, to points that Luke makes on a regular basis, kids aren't on consoles, kids are on mobile. So take that into account. And it's a hard thing that I've had to suck up. I've had to swallow my pride on this and say, like, no, there's no way consoles are going away. It's like, consoles may actually go away. I am the old here.
Yep. It hurts. But like, at the end of the day, true of all of us, you play games, you don't play systems. Keep that in mind.
That's why I built the PC, because I was sick of playing games at settings that were dictated by console manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. I love my Xbox. I cover Xbox out of choice. I play it out of choice, but I love my Xbox. But that doesn't come at the sacrifice of enjoying God of War and Spider-Man or anything else. You know, I get mad when things go to one console that should be multi-platform here and there, right? Will I rejoice when Helldivers comes to Xbox? Yes, I will be very happy. That's a great game and more people should play it. But we play games, not systems. So knock it off if your whole purpose is to be mean about a console. So I'm going to end this. Time code 118.
I like Edward's comment about how on an infinite timescale, humans will go away. Yes.
Yes.
I will subscribe to that.
We will die or evolve. One of the two.
Yes.
Yep.
We're really good at changing our environment to suit our needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's on a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to figure that out in the next few generations, but we're not doing so hot.
It's true. It's true. All right. So I wanted to talk about, so Game Pass had its expected tier shift. We knew this was going to happen. We knew the standard tier was going to be happening on, I think it was September 13th is when this took place. We knew that the standard tier was going to happen. However, I think it came with more pain than we were perhaps expecting, because in the Game Pass tier, which is the replacement for Xbox Live Gold, and they told us about it months ago, mind you. When it activated and shifted over, some changes took place that I think caught people off guard. Maybe they didn't read the fine print. Maybe there was some stuff that changed. Maybe it just didn't feel a certain kind of way. But my heart goes out to the Game Pass standard tier subscribers because games were removed from their library that are heavy hitters. Games like Starfield, Forza, Diablo 4, Modern Warfare 3, Hellblade 2, and even Age of Mythology, which just came out. Great game, by the way. You should play it. Those are all gone from the bottom tier of Xbox Live or Game Pass. Game Pass is Xbox Game Pass. They're no longer there. You have to have Ultimate Edition to have access to those games. Also gone some of the smaller titles that I've played recently, like Konitsugami and Flintlock, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Neon White, MLB The Show. Those are all removed from the bottom tier of Game Pass, really solidifying that is a pretty low level and you should be on Ultimate. They're pushing people towards Ultimate. If we're pissed off at PlayStation for raising the price of their controllers without telling people, for upping their new system $700, now Xbox is making it so you need to be on Ultimate to enjoy the stuff they talk to you about, day one games, the EA library, everything else. I think that Xbox deserves a healthy bit of frustration their way as well, because that sucks. The whole thing they promised about day one games on Game Pass, well, now Game Pass standard doesn't have day one games. You don't get Diablo. You're not playing Modern Warfare. And it's very frustrating to me to see that happening to people, even though they did tell us ahead of time. It still feels like something's being lost. So there's, again, an odd thing. As an Ultimate gamer, like an Xbox Ultimate subscriber, nothing changed. I'm fine. But we're talking about getting people into your ecosystem, and this sure doesn't do it.
Yeah. No, this was annoying because anyone that picked up a PlayStation or picked up an Xbox with the anticipation of Activision Blizzard titles coming to Game Pass, if they weren't already subscribed to Ultimate, or maybe they had to downgrade for, financial reasons, they're losing access to the Activision games that were expected to be there because they are now first party. So removing stuff like this really does, like you're taking away Starfield, your biggest selling game that is not made by Activision or Blizzard. You're taking that out of the standard. Like that should be like bar none in there. It should be right next to Halo, right next to Gears of War, right next to Forza, and right next to Sea of Thieves. And it's not.
Yep. It should be there. And then you want to play Shattered Space, then you got to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. Like, Logan, so much money is made on Call of Duty. Why not make that available?
Yeah.
Why not? Are they trying to shuffle people towards Black Ops and they want you to subscribe to get Black Ops? Like, is that the idea? It sucks. Like everybody, remember Hellblade 2's conversations? People were dunking on it for being short. And then Astro Bot comes out, it's the same length. And as an I love a good 6-hour game. I will tell you, this is a totally unrelated comment, and just bear with me, listeners. I'm so sorry. You just have to deal with it. Every time I'm down on myself about XEP content, I go watch my review of Hellblade because I'm so proud of it. And again, not many people watched it, but I'm just really proud of how it came together. And I had a coworker come to me the other day, and they were like, "Hey, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I watched your review of Hell's Blade or something. It was so good." And I was like, "Really?" I was so happy. But yeah, seeing like that stuff should be in there. Get more people eyes on. And it's just gone.
It's in my mind, I think that having some of the third-party content that's in standard, have standard be the showcase for first-party content. That's what it should be. It should be the thing that sells you on why you're in this ecosystem, not restricting stuff that is your best hitters because you're trying to push people into a higher tier. I hate that. I hate when companies do that. It always frustrates me when they always put the best value on like costs of like special currency in games. It's like, yeah, I know that's the best value. And I hate that you're changing the way that these costs are so that you're incentivizing me to buy more now than if I were to buy smaller increments. Just make each of the increments the same value across the board and stop trying to push me up to higher tiers because I may not need all of those gems right now or all of those ancient coins right now. And they're just going to sit on my account until I decide to do something with them. I hate that they're doing this. I understand why they're doing it. It's a business, but at the same time, like they need to try and take this into consideration, and I hope that they really like come out with a little or a little like bulletin or news bulletin or something that comes out that says, hey, we heard what your feedback is. We're going to be bringing Starfield to the standard version so that people who want to jump into Shattered Space already have access to the baseline game. Like that would have been a good win.
Agreed. They've done so many improvements. Why not make it available in more places and then incentivize more people to check out Shattered Space? What I said to you in private chat, you had commercials going on the screen behind you. That's why I said that.
I know I couldn't pay for premium.
Oh, there you go. Wait, was the tier too high?
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're trying to push me in there with excessive ads.
Yeah. There's an interesting comment from Mike Johnson in our chat. And Mike, if you're trolling, then I guess I'm giving you airtime that I shouldn't. But feeling that Shattered Space is something you have to pay for and that it's a scam. I don't understand how expansion is a scam. That seems very silly. He said you shouldn't have to pay for DLCs. I think that's very dumb. Doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I guess I'm not understanding. Like you should pay for.
I paid for Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk 2077. That was one of the best expansions I've ever played in my entire life. I was happy to throw that money towards them. That's easy. We got a code for it. I still bought it. Yeah. I still paid money on a different platform for it so that I could support the devs, because Phantom Liberty is a game in and of itself. Even though the campaign's shorter than the main game, we don't know what Shattered Space is. Expecting to pay for DLC, like actual like expansion.
It's not a live service game.
Yeah, it's not like cosmetics. If it were cosmetics, I could understand like stuff like that coming in. DLC is additional development time. That's investment that needs to get paid. They have to make money on that. They're already like, if they want to throw in like a discount through like Game Pass subscription, I'd be down for that. But expecting DLC is not what the norm is for for anyone. Like, sorry, I read a comment and then my mind got triggered on Cyberpunk, but it's one of those things where we do not expect DLC to come with the game. That is just not something that we've ever done. Most of the times that expansion would get rolled out into a sequel.
And I think there is again, like maybe he meant something different. There's a big difference to me than a live service getting updates or cosmetics or a few new missions here and there versus a single player experience where you're getting curated missions as an expansion. Think about Vessel of Hatred and Diablo. That's a whole new region thing happening. Yeah, that's an expansion. You should pay for that. And then I'm looking at Abdel's comment talking about the Mortal Kombat 1 expansion for Chaos Reigns, $50 for a new story and characters I don't even want. To me, that Abdel not being part of that community, that does seem to make sense. You would pay for new stories and characters and such. But then he follows up with they broke Mortal Kombat 1's base game for monetization. That's a problem if that's what's actually happening. Breaking your base game, like if you broke Starfield where you couldn't play it without I don't know, Shattered Space or like something like that, then that'd be different. And there are plenty of examples of companies doing it right and doing it wrong. Phantom Liberty is doing it right. On the surface, from what we know of Vessel of Hatred for Diablo, that's doing it right. There are some great expansions to, like I booted up World War Z, the Aftermath stuff. That's doing it right. Those are good expansions. There are plenty of games and examples out there where it's not so great. I'm looking at Street Fighter 6. That monetization is aggressive. And so I don't spend my money there, but the base game's still valid. Yeah. So there's a balance there. You start a comment?
Yeah. So Red Beast makes an interesting perspective on this. Perhaps Mike's argument is that DLC should be included in Game Pass subscription, not sold separately.
Okay. I
can understand. I can
take back my
understand that.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I understand that perspective because Nintendo does something like this. Nintendo has like their online Switch Online, where you get cloud saves, you get multiplayer, and you get access to smaller libraries. So like NES, Super NES.
Mhm.
If you buy into their expansion pack every year, you get access to Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and N64 games. You also get access to any DLC that any of their first party games put out. So Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, Splatoon, all of those DLCs come in with the expansion pack.
Mm.
That to me is a decent value add because not only am I getting access to a different virtual library, which I hate the fact that they have their virtual library through their online service. I would rather just buy the games that I want, be able to have access to those. Can't do that, whatever. But the fact that the DLC is included is pretty good when you look at the fact that the DLC for most of those games comes in around $20-$30. If I have Game Pass Ultimate, I would agree that they could definitely roll in the DLCs for games. That hasn't been the standard, and they don't have a price tier to be able to offer that. So the change here would have to be that Game Pass Standard offers the library that Ultimate has right now, and that Ultimate offers the DLCs for games. The difference is here is that the DLC included in the expansion pack for Nintendo games is only first party, and I don't see them making a whole lot of money on Ultimate if all they're offering is DLC for the first party content that they're offering.
I gotcha. Okay, that does help me understand the possibly what Mike was saying then. And I like the idea of like what you're saying. Ultimate gets you the DLCs. That would make it feel more ultimate, as it were.
Yeah.
The I don't know, this is a counterpoint, Logan, so maybe it's not, but we do know that like if you want the kick up edition, the early access edition, the bonus editions that the different games have, you do get the $30 upgrade if you're on Game Pass already.
Yeah.
So, take that for what you will. And credit where due. As disappointing as Redfall was, they offered refunds to those who got the Bite Back edition. That came back into my account, so there is something there. That doesn't feel as scummy to me to do you want the ultimate edition, you get $30 extra.
Yeah. Here's what Xbox could do to make this feel like it's a little bit better. Game Pass Core is just certain titles with online access and cloud saves. Game Pass Standard is what currently is available in Ultimate with all the games and the base games for that. Game Pass Ultimate is the DLCs, the upgrade editions, and the early access with like Game Pass PC and stuff. So instead of having to pay $30 per game for the early access and the upgrade edition, it's just included in the Ultimate edition. That to me would be a way to create an Ultimate tier that felt ultimate, because it would include all of the content, all of the games, and the early access.
What do you think about Sea of Thieves' next comment? $1 a month Redfall only tier? I don't know, man. Tempting.
I'd keep it for a year.
I'd keep it for a year too. I like Redfall. Oh, can you imagine if that had been early access and then it was coming out in spooky season?
Yeah.
God, why don't? So okay,
great world.
I'm kicking us over into a different topic, and I've got time code here 113. Think about like Towerborn. Towerborn just launched into Steam Early Access, which is a kick in the nuts to Xbox users for a couple reasons, but launched into Steam Early Access and getting pretty high markings and reviews. Xbox Era is very high on it as well. I linked their thing in there. But it's not in Xbox Game Preview. And I would have loved to see the Xbox Game Preview on a first party or second party thing be used here. And like Redfall would have been great for Game Preview. Valheim, I had them on the show years ago. Valheim's doing great in Game Preview. Power World, I feel like was Game Preview. Maybe I'm wrong. But like Game Preview, I think is underutilized in the Xbox space. and they need to do more with it. Yeah, going into early access helps with funding and a number of other things, but you get good feedback, and good feedback brings good games. Look at the Valve shooter that was quietly out there and just outdid Concord by accident on the day they put it out there by accident.
Oh, you're talking about oh my gosh, CJ Super Pack invited me into it, and I'm totally blanking on
That game,
the name of it.
Yep, that's the one. I guess I don't know, but
It's,
yeah,
it starts with a D.
It does start with a D, and I don't remember what it is. Deadlock. Thank you, Silken It.
Deadlock. Yeah.
But yeah, like use game preview and early access is more. And it does kind of stink to me that they didn't use Xbox game preview. They only use Steam early access. Counterpoint, by the time it does get to Xbox, it'll be great. It's the same reason that I think it was Sea of Thieves just asked, are Xbox games going to run better on PS5 Pro? Yes. Yes, because they're coming out later. That happens. That happens. Like what was the game?
It depends on if the developers take advantage of the SDK.
I think just genuine updates, though. When you get the Ghostwire Tokyo was better on Xbox than it was PlayStation because it had the benefit of updates. You know,
I mean,
when
that's
the game
possible.
comes
It a lot of it depends on. I always come back to this because we don't know. And shout out to Adidas 20 for the 4-month subscription. Let's go. Appreciate
You're
it,
awesome, brother. Thank you, man.
I genuinely feel like all of this idea about things that will be expected of the PS5 Pro all come with the caveat if the developers utilize it. Because I think that is the key thing. Yes, some things may run better inherently. There's less, the CPU is the same, the GPU is better, but how much is going to get bottlenecked by the CPU? But it always comes back to will the developers utilize it? Because we don't know.
You're right. Good examples in chat. Second Extinction, a few others.
To talk about Towerborn on Steam, it does suck. It's going to be a free-to-play game. So the thing that they're doing right now, early access, they can capitalize it with the contracts that they have for Microsoft to be able to bring it into early access to get some of these founder packs things. They've made promises for cosmetics on a monthly basis until it goes into 1.0 launch. So if you do buy the silver or gold founder editions on Steam, you're going to be spending $45 as opposed to the 25 that it is baseline, and you're going to get stuff throughout the week. So they've done a good job of trying to kickstart it with tiers that promise rewards for jumping into those tiers without technically kickstarting it, because they've already got support through Xbox, and now they're getting support through Steam. I think the thing here is that Xbox fans were showcased this game this last June, and the fact that it's showing up on PC outside of Microsoft's ecosystem is kind of hey, why can't we play this now? Why isn't this available? Put it into game preview, because that's what Microsoft should have worked that deal out. But it all comes back to does the developer have the bandwidth? Right. If the developer doesn't have the bandwidth to be able to address things on Xbox and PC side, guess what? You're looking at Power World all over again. PC version was way more updated, had a lot more features and things like that. Xbox version had a lot harder time getting the updates because it was a small team. They could not they didn't have the bandwidth to be able to update both ecosystems parity for those updates. They had to kind of slowly roll stuff into the Xbox version when it came out on the PC later on. There's lots of reasons for a lot of this stuff. So as a consumer, yeah, it sucks. They should have figured that stuff out. It's weird to see Towerborn show up on Steam before it does on Xbox, when Xbox had a showcase for it 3 months ago. But there's nothing I can do about that except be patient and wait. Like a lot of PC games to coming to Xbox. I just have to be patient and wait.
Yep, it's true. It's true. Maybe that goes back to do you still need a console? Should you be on PC?
It's already on PC.
It's already on PC. I don't know, man. Logan, we had a question from Todd Oxtra this week that I thought was really, really good. I put it kind of in the top because I thought we'd talk about it with PS5 Pro, but we didn't. We're 4 years into this gaming generation, says Todd. It's been a great mixed bag it's been a mixed bag at best. if you could go back and change one thing to improve this generation, what would you pick? I
Ooh.
would. I love this question for several reasons. I think I would change the cross gen that they did. I would not let them do cross gen between Xbox One and PS4. I would kick them straight into PS5 and Xbox Series devices. I think that would have helped the generation tremendously. The consistent need to push the games into old platforms, I think, has held back the generation a lot. There's a lot of much ado about the Series S and stuff, but it's like, no, you're trying to put stuff out on the Xbox One and PS4 that came out in 2013, and that really irks me. I think energies and time should be focused moving things forward, especially given the way COVID launched with our systems. COVID launched, but like our systems launched with COVID.
It's true.
And
That's how I got COVID, was because of my PS5.
that it'll do it.
Yeah.
And the Series S did this, I think if I could change that one thing, it would be that these games did not cross gen for more than a year or at all. And so that's the problem I consistently see. Like Jedi Survivor just came out for PS4. Why? Why? Like, I know why, but I think that why is dumb. And now, like, you have to have a $700 PS5 Pro. Like, no, you could be the thing used to be with consoles. You buy them out, or you make them at a loss to sell software, but they're not selling software to those consoles because they're still stuck in PS4 and Xbox One.
This is a really good question. I have two things. One of them's a joke and one of them's for real. The joke one is I would tell people paying $700 for a PS5 in 2020 to save their money, because they'll just buy the PS5 Pro at $700 instead of paying scalpers.
Okay, I like it. Ha ha.
That's the joke one. God, that's really tough. I would say that Sony should have paced their content better. And I would have liked to have seen content rolled out at a slower rate, so they weren't trying to end on a bang with the PS4, leaving nothing for the PS5 library. I think fans have had a big disservice. I think PS5 fans have been screwed out of so much promise by maintaining content for the PS4. Like we've talked about, like Horizon's DLC had to drop PS4 support because they wanted to do stuff with the game that they couldn't do on that older hardware.
Right.
So I'm kind of with you on that. And I think that the efforts that Xbox has made for backwards compatibility, bringing games from older games with updated like auto HDR, auto FPS boost, stuff like that. I think that team ramped down too soon, and they should have continued the work to try and get some of the licenses to bring more of that ecosystem onto one console, because the Xbox Series X and S have the largest library of games available outside of a PC that could have continued. So I would have kept that team rolling, and I would have tried to include more and more content for that generation, because I think it's probably done the best. But that's really tough, man. Because right now I'm looking 4 years into this generation. The thing that has improved the most on the console front is the fact that a company that made a free voice chat program and forum program is now the biggest used app that's integrated into the OS for the consoles. Having Discord on consoles, if I could go back, I would be like, yeah, let's throw Discord on all the consoles. Now let's get it burnt into that OS so that it is smooth, cooperative, and that you can do everything that you want to do on Discord on PC or on mobile through the consoles in some fashion or another, because that has been the biggest boon, I think, to this console generation. Being able to chat and talk with people through Discord on a regular basis without having to worry about which party chat are we going into? How are we just going to jump into like Discord and like have two headphones on, or worry about like headsets that can pair up to our phone and our console so that we can hear Discord and our console audio? Like that's something that I would change. I would go back and I'd throw Discord into the consoles from the get-go at the beginning of launch, because it's the only agnostic chat program that works for every platform at this point, except Switch.
That it makes me think about, like, okay, we talked about the one thing we changed. The one thing I love most, I think, is crossplay. Crossplay is dope.
Huge.
Crossplay
huge. It's what keeps all these games alive, honestly.
Yep. Logan, that kind of runs the gambit for me. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about prior to us going?
Not really.
I know Xbox laid off some people. That sucks.
Yeah, and it looks like that was kind of the last little, hopefully the last little chunk of resolving the Activision Blizzard King acquisition.
Like the redundancy.
Yeah. So and I'm glad that they were kind of like working up the chain. Like we've already seen the layoffs with the actual like developers at the ground floor. Now we're starting to move up the ladder and find where people are going to have to get cut. At the end of the day, the buck stops with us as the consumers. Our money is the thing that funds all this, and if they're not seeing a profit or growth, they're going to start looking to cut. But we have to be stalwart in our purchases. We have to be stalwart in what we're willing to spend money on. So if a service is too expensive, if a console is too pricey, if a DLC is not worth it, wait, save the money. It'll hurt. We'll have to read these articles about let goes. But at the end of the day, we are the ones that support the market. We are the ones that determine the price. If we don't want consoles going up to $700, if we don't want Game Pass going up to $30 a month, we have to be the ones to make that call and support it or not support it.
Yep. It's well said. Logan, let the people know what you got going.
Review for Plucky Squire next week. Don't know if I can say the date, but we are definitely going to have that review up.
You've been playing it for a bit, yeah?
Yep. Can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it.
Plucky Squire. Coming.
Very cool. I will thank everybody that has shared the show, clicked like on the show. If you were able to throw a couple bucks and help us out, it's being put to good use. So thank you guys for that. I've been greatly enjoying some spooky games, courtesy of many suggestions from you guys in chat. You all in Discord, you brighten my day. I've been so busy that I've just kind of been looking at the Discord, and just the friendship and support that people have in there is a blast. I'll encourage people to check out Dead by Daylight and World War Z because I'm having a good time with them.
I just installed it.
Did you really? Nice.
Yeah, I did.
Love it. Oh, I'm so excited. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your week, everyone. Take care.